Evening, I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, on the road again. The Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene show rolls into Arizona, current ground zero for the big lie. Matt Gaetz, who is under investigation by the FBI for, among other things, allegedly having sex with a underage girl. And we've got new reporting on that investigation in a moment. But Gaetz tonight is out on the road joining forces again with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And they're spreading Trump's word in Mesa, Arizona this evening. Mesa is, of course, in Maricopa County, the biggest county in the state, and it's where the sham audit of 2020 election results is taking place. Now, we use the word sham specifically. There have already been 2 audits of this county's election results, and guess what? They each showed the exact same thing. Biden won. It is a sham that many Republicans in the state say is based on wild conspiracy theories. But that is not stopping Gaetz and Greene from showing up tonight to voice their support, because after all, they are 2 of the biggest and most vocal leaders of Trump's big lie. I mean, just listen to them earlier this month in Florida, the first stop of their tour.
Tell me, who is your president? That's my president, too. Okay. Did anybody in here vote for Joe Biden? Do you guys really think he won?
Our elections must have integrity. We have never abandoned Trump, and he has never abandoned America. He is still fighting for us. He will continue to fight for us, and we're going to have his back when he does. So we support the brave patriots in Georgia and in Florida and all across this country that want to protect the integrity of the vote. And that is going to be a major part of this tour that Marjorie and I bring across the country, demanding voter integrity.
It is a tour. It's like there's some sort of a band. And the people who are going to these crowded events are believing it. And that's sad and wrong. I mean, listen to what one person told Ardonia O'Sullivan right before she walked into that Florida rally you just saw.
You guys both genuinely believe the election was stolen.
Yes.
I mean, that's, if you believe that that's true, that is...
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
that
it
is horrible.
Is it horrible that we would even be in the situation to even think that?
But it's false.
No, it is not. Why would they have all those ballots hidden under tables? Why did that man drive that truck all the way across state lines?
But it wasn't like
the
ballots under table thing with Giuliani and Georgia. That's all been proven to be false.
It has not. I watched it on TV.
That woman repeating lies that she's been told by Trump and his acolytes. Lies that have fueled this audit. And just to be very clear here, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors unanimously condemns this audit. 4 of the 5 members of that board are Republican. The board writing, quote, "It's time to end this for the good of the Senate, for the good of the country, and for the good of the democratic institutions that define us as Americans." And another top Republican election official in Arizona, who called Trump's lies unhinged, told me that now these lies must be called out.
It has to stop. This has been a very rude awakening into what politics has become.
The dark truth right now, though, is that more states may be following Arizona's lead in Maricopa County. Just tonight, a ballot audit set to move ahead in Fulton County, Georgia, even though Georgia, you may recall, has also gone through several audits, hand audits, and rescanned every ballot. Those reviews upheld the original election result, which is that Joe Biden won Georgia. That, of course, has not stopped Donald Trump from pushing for audits in Arizona and other states just the other day.
Let's see what they find. I wouldn't be surprised if they found thousands and thousands and thousands of votes. So we're going to watch that very closely. And after that, you'll watch Pennsylvania and you'll watch Georgia and you're going to watch Michigan and Wisconsin and you're watching New Hampshire. They found a lot of votes up in New Hampshire just now. You saw that? Because this was a rigged election.
It's like you're thinking, was that from November? No, that was from April 28th. Still saying the same stuff that people still believe. Kyung La is out front live in Phoenix, Arizona. And Kyung, you are in front of, I'm just looking behind you, a couple cones and a pretty nondescript green building. But that building is not nondescript in its function. Ground zero right now for this battle for democracy in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, it's just right over my shoulder, and this is really where the Arizona audit battle is being fought over the ballots that are being stored inside there. They are on the move this weekend, and make no mistake about this, Aaron, the battle may be here tonight, but it is spreading across the country.
You can connect the dots between this high school auditorium in Windham, New Hampshire, a right-wing gubernatorial candidate in Georgia.
I found myself troubled by the recent findings coming out of Arizona.
And Antrim County, Michigan, says Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, talking to me in Phoenix.
Are you hearing the exact words Arizona-style audit being thrown around in Michigan?
Yes, we're hearing that as well as forensic audit.
I'm talking to you from a parking lot, and you're saying that what we're seeing here is also there.
Well, what we're seeing in Arizona is really a high watermark of this sort of the big lie.
Benson says Arizona is where the next chapter of the big lie is being written. That lie that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump centers on what you're seeing on this silent, unmoving overhead security video. These trailers hold nearly 2.1 million 2020 ballots from Arizona's Maricopa County. While in storage now, a so-called audit of these ballots run by the Republican-controlled Arizona Senate and its little-known contractor Cyber Ninjas will restart this weekend after ballots are moved back onto the floor. Over the last 3 weeks, we've seen workers use UV lights on ballots, chasing a QAnon conspiracy about a secret watermark, cameras hunting for bamboo fibers in ballots supposedly proving they were flown in from Asia. Comical, say Maricopa County Supervisor Bill Gates and County Recorder Stephen Richer, but it's also dangerous. Are you guys the petri dish for what's going to be the playbook?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we now see the videos from other states where they're demanding an Arizona-style audit.
I think it's a proxy war for this playing out on a national level. So I guess, yeah, we are the experiment in democracy here in Arizona.
Richer and Gates are both lifelong Republicans who are speaking out against their own state party leadership as they watch Trump loyalists like Corey Lewandowski last week question the vote in New Hampshire.
We're here to count every single vote, that every vote matters. How come we're not recounting the presidential race in this election?
They're urging Republicans, both state and national, to fight back with the truth. You've seen the polls of what Republican voters believe. Have you already lost?
The answer is absolutely not. If we start to have voices of Republicans saying Joe Biden was elected president, he won, we're not moving, we're not going to do this any longer, we're not going to have Arizona-style so-called audits in other states, you will see those numbers start to change.
And we are getting late notice tonight, Aaron, that the Republican-led Maricopa County Board of Supervisors plan to go beyond words. They've issued a letter to the Republican-led Arizona Senate saying, save your documents. It is a warning shot, Aaron, basically saying, see you in court. Aaron?
Wow. All right, Kyung, thank you very much. And I want to go now to Congressman David Cicilline, a Democrat who served as impeachment manager and sits on the House Judiciary Committee. So, Congressman, when you hear your colleagues, Congressman Matt Gaetz and Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene, going out to Arizona, where Kyung just filed that report, perpetuating those election lies, how do you convince, fundamentally at this point, how do you convince people that you are telling the truth? Because you've got a Democrat in front of your name, right? And we're talking about a lot of Republicans. How do you convince them that you are telling the truth, that their leadership is lying to them?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to try to do that by, again, reminding them that Donald Trump's chief election security officer responsible for the security of all the elections in this country said this was the most secure election in American history. These states have certified the election results. They're led by Republicans. They've certified them on multiple occasions. But what we really need is our Republican colleagues to speak up. It's time for them to acknowledge that this is a lie. This was promoted by the president even before the election happened and continues to be promoted by the president. It led to the bloody, violent insurrection on January 6th. But we need Republicans to acknowledge that Joe Biden is the president of the United States He won the election fair and square. They need to hear from people in the Republican Party. And instead, we have people like Matt Gaetz and other Republicans that continue to give life to this preposterous lie that the sore loser Donald Trump continues to repeat.
So what do you think accounts, Congressman, for the fact that we're now seeing in Arizona, the board, right, the elections board, right, they're standing up. It's five members, 4 of them Republican. I spoke to one of them. He's speaking out now saying, I'm going to do what Trump is saying is unhinged, and I'm now going to speak out. I hoped this would go away. It's not, so I'm now going to do this. And they're doing it, right? And we're seeing it in other states, some local Republicans speaking out, right, whether it be in Georgia or in Pennsylvania, right? But we're not seeing it at the national level. I mean, with the exception of, say, Liz Cheney and a few, right, Adam Kinzinger, we're just not seeing it. So why do you think that is? That there is such a dearth of courage to tell the truth by people who are in your seat with an R in front of their name?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sad reality is these are people who believe that in order to win a Republican primary, they need to have the support of Donald Trump, and they're terrified to lose his support because they think that they'll lose their primary. And so they're basically willing to forsake their responsibility to protect our democracy, to speak the truth in order to hold on to their jobs. And it's shameful. And we need more Republicans to speak up and tell the truth. And frankly, while I'm grateful for the Republicans that are now doing it, it's a little late. I mean, I suppose it's better late than never. But, their silence and their supporting this claim led to 5 deaths, lots of destruction to a building, 140 Capitol Police officers injured, and an attack on our democracy on January 6th. So this lie keeps being promoted not only by the former president, but Republican colleagues in the Congress who give it legitimacy when they know it is not true. It is a lie, but you repeat it often enough and people believe it.
So this week, I spoke to one of the Republicans who voted in favor of the commission for January 6th, Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez, your colleague from Florida. So he voted for it. He was one of 35. OK, Trump's out to get him now. But he also voted not to certify on January 6th, and specifically because of 2 states, Arizona and Pennsylvania, which he said, well, I always said Biden was the legitimate winner. Those 2 states wouldn't have overturned it. But he stands by that vote on that day. And here's how he explained it.
I have no regrets of my votes on that day. I voted not to impeach the president because I didn't think he incited the events that happened. I know for a fact that I saw people in my hotel room that were saying they were going to do something at 2 o'clock, and that happened at 9 o'clock in the morning.
So today, his aide told our Jim Acosta that they did alert the Capitol Police as well as the FBI about that incident an hour after it happened, 10 a.m. on January 6th. Are you surprised by the congressman's comments and by someone's ability to stand by not certifying the election? At the same time, they say they want a commission. They do support the commission against McCarthy and Trump into that day.
I hope it's because they recognize that it's important that the American people know all the facts that led up to the events of January 6th, that it's important that it be a bipartisan vote. We have 36 Republicans join us. The American people are entitled to know all of the circumstances surrounding the bloodiest attack on our democracy since the War of 1812 or on the Capitol. And so I think it's good that he did. I think that's Liz Cheney, of course, when she spoke the truth, she was removed from her leadership of the party. But I think she and Adam Kinzinger and others are causing some other Republicans to recognize that they need to speak up and put an end to this monstrous lie, which is undermining our democracy. By the way, while they're doing all this, we're busy passing the American Rescue Plan. We're working on the American Jobs Plan. We're responding to the urgent needs of the American people. But they're a mess, the Republican Party. But they're doing real damage to our democracy by promoting and advancing the ongoing lies that Donald Trump began.
All right. Well, Congressman, I appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And next, breaking news. Breaking news, embattled Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz' ex-girlfriend is cooperating with investigators. And this is according to sources familiar with the Gaetz sex trafficking investigation. The woman is seen as crucial as a witness because she has been linked to Gaetz during a key period of time. And we are also learning that Joel Greenberg, a very close friend of Gaetz, told investigators that Gaetz and at least 2 other men had sexual contact with a 17-year-old girl. Paula Reed is out front. And Paula, you are learning a lot of new details tonight about the Gaetz sex trafficking investigation. So what can you tell me about this ex-girlfriend?
Well, Erin, this woman, a former Capitol Hill staffer who did not work for the congressman, she worked for a different lawmaker. She was linked to the congressman in the summer of 2017. And that's a time period that's really critical in the investigation into whether he may have had sex with an underage girl. Now, the fact that she has signaled she will now cooperate is also significant because investigators have records of hundreds and hundreds of transactions, including some that allegedly show payments for sex. And they hope this ex-girlfriend might be able to help them make sense of some of those payments. The congressman is being investigated for possibly violating federal sex trafficking, prostitution, and public corruption laws. And they're also looking into whether he had sex with a minor. Now, Gaetz has not been charged, and he has repeatedly denied ever paying for sex or having sex with a minor as an adult. Now, it's not clear whether this woman has a formal cooperation agreement, but at this point, she has signaled she will cooperate with investigators. Her attorney declined to comment, as did a spokesman for the Justice Department.
All right, Paula, so I know you're also learning that as part of his plea agreement, which is so crucial in all of this, right, Mr. Greenberg's, that he is starting to tell them what he knows, and he knows a lot. What is he saying?
He does know a lot, Erin. Well, CNN has also learned that Joel Greenberg told investigators the lawmaker had sexual contact with that 17-year-old girl. Now, earlier this week, Greenberg pleaded guilty to federal charges, including sex trafficking of a minor. He is cooperating with federal investigators in exchange for dozens of counts against him being dropped. And as part of that deal, he is required to cooperate fully in any other federal investigations, including the ongoing investigation into his former close friend, Congressman Gates. Now, in his plea agreement, Greenberg admits that he had sex with the minor at least 7 times and that he introduced her to other men who engaged in commercial sex acts with her. But those other men, they are not named in the plea agreement. Now, Gates and his representatives, they've attacked Greenberg's credibility in recent days. They've rightly pointed to the fact that Greenberg admitted in this same plea agreement to falsely accusing a political rival of having sex with a minor. Now, the ultimate decision on whether the congressman is charged, that will fall to prosecutors at the Justice Department. It's a decision that will likely take some time as they are continuing to gather evidence. They'll have to look at everything they have, Aaron, and decide if they have enough to proceed with an indictment.
All right, Paula, thank you very much. And next, CNN obtaining more chilling. Breaking news, the Louisiana State Police moments ago saying all video evidence of Ronald Green's fatal 2019 encounter with Louisiana State Police officers will be released tonight. Green's family says the state police initially told them that Green died after crashing into a tree. That's what they were told. But then body camera footage showed he was tased, kicked, dragged face down while moaning in pain. No tree. It comes as CNN has obtained new footage of the encounter and as we learn disturbing details about what increasingly seems to be a cover-up about what happened to Green. I will warn you, some of this footage is difficult to watch. Ryan Young is out front.
Aaron, look, this video is tougher and tougher to watch. You understand why the family is in so much pain. I will also tell you, though, it's because of these leaks that really has this whole country talking about this case. It's good to see the state authorities talking about releasing all the video. I will tell you the source who provided this video to me wanted to make sure it got out into the light. They wanted to make sure this investigation finally stopped being on pause. They want to see it move forward because obviously 2 years is a long time. And like one argument was made to me today, it's not like new investigative files are going to be found. They want to see something happen with this case. They want to see these officers held accountable so you can understand the press for the conversation to move forward.
Absolutely. All right, Ryan, thank you very much. Earlier this month, before the police footage was leaked, my next guest led a town hall with the Green family where Ronald Green's mother made an impassioned plea for the body camera video to be released.
Those high up in those political seats have seen this. They've seen the body and the dash cams, and they continue to turn their backs on it. They continue to let my family, other families, go through hell, and they know it's wrong, and then they just completely try to squash it. We need to get things moving here.
Out front now, Alana Odoms, the executive director of the ACLU of Louisiana. You just saw her there with Ronald Green's mother. And Alana, I appreciate your being with me, and I want to get to your role in all of this in a moment because it's important. First, though, the Louisiana State Police is now saying all video evidence of the encounter will be released tonight, right? So everyone will get to see it. Obviously, this is 2 years after it happened, but they're going to put it all out tonight. This is something that you have been demanding. What's your reaction?
Thank you for having me, Aaron. My reaction is justice delayed is justice denied. And this video should have been released long ago. And while I appreciate that law enforcement now, under the pressure of the Associated Press and the free press, which we should all be incredibly grateful for in this country, under that pressure that they are now interested in releasing the video, I have still many questions about the integrity behind that decision, and I believe that we have further to go and that this is merely the tip of the iceberg with regard to the behavior and conduct of the Louisiana State Police.
So when you talk about the motive for it coming out now, look, Louisiana's Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards says he supports the release of the video evidence, okay? But he admits he saw the entire video last fall. So he saw it all last fall. But he's only now saying anything about any of this now that it's become public. Are you disappointed that the governor only pushed for the release of the video after the whole thing became public?
I think every Louisianian's heart breaks tonight. I think every person with a conscience who is breathing and who can behold what was taking place and what had taken place on that evening, heart breaks tonight. I believe that our elected leaders have the first and foremost duty to represent their constituency and to make certain that corruption and that disgraceful conduct that results in the taking of human life for no reason does not occur. And I think when that happens, we have to believe that there must be federal oversight or other mechanisms of ensuring that this does not happen.
So we are learning state investigators are confirmed that they were looking into Green's death as a criminal matter from day one. So they're saying that they were investigating this from day one, even though Green's family says the police told them that he died after crashing into a tree, and they got the impression it was all sort of done, sealed, and delivered. But they're saying they were looking into it as a criminal issue on day one. So how do you square that circle of them saying that, but the family being told something else? Do you think the words cover up are accurate?
I think there was a lack of integrity in this case from start to finish. I think there was dissembling and concealing of evidence and obviously videographic evidence in this case from the beginning. I think the family was misled from the beginning, and I really think that police officers, in particular these officers, violated Mr. Green's and his family's constitutional rights, and they're not able to police themselves. And that is why we should not just be relying on any individual elected leader, because we have to remember that politics is always at play. And if we want truth and we want equality and we want this integrity in this case, we have to have an investigation from top to bottom that doesn't involve political actors, people who seek to solely learn what happened on that night and how to adjudicate in my opinion, the crimes that were committed. And if we can do that, the Louisiana ACLU is in the process of prosecuting racist policing with 11 federal suits that we filed.
Wow.
And we certainly have our eyes on the Louisiana State Police. That is the way that you get to the bottom of this, so that you don't have fingers pointing at each other.
All right, Alana, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next breaking news, President Biden telling our Caitlin Collins it is, quote, simply wrong for the government to seize the emails or phone records of reporters. It comes after CNN learned the Trump administration's Justice Department secretly obtained phone and email records of our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr.
Should the government be seizing reporters' phone records and emails, and would you prevent your Justice Department from doing that?
Only yours, but beyond yours, no.
But honestly,
absolutely, positively, it's wrong. It's simply wrong.
So you won't let your Justice
And
Department
I will
do
not
that?
let that happen.
And Caitlin Collins is now out front at the White House. So, Caitlin, a clear message from President Biden that he does not believe that this is okay, ever.
No, and Aaron, this is a huge break from not just his predecessor in former President Trump, but also the president he served under as vice president, former President Obama, whose administration also went after reporters' phone records. But it's notable because the White House had been asked about this at the briefing earlier today. They had not made this announcement that this is going to be a new policy where they are not going to seize the records of reporters secretly, whether it's phone or email, which of course is what we now know happened under the Trump administration's Justice Department to our colleague Barbara Starr, but also 3 reporters from the Washington Post. And that was related to records from 2017. We know it was approved, we believe, under Attorney General Bill Barr, the former Attorney General, of course, in the later days of the Trump administration. But Aaron, this is notable because it is a huge break from how the Justice Department had been operating before. And often you saw federal prosecutors and investigators say that that was a last step they took in trying to figure out the source of potentially classified information, depending on which circumstance it is, but to go after the records of reporters. And so far, the Justice Department has not commented on this. I think a lot of people will be waiting to see what the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, does say about this. But President Biden was pretty unequivocal there when I asked him as he was leaving the room earlier today. They are not going to be seizing the records of reporters. He said he feels that it is wrong, and they will not be doing that.
All right. And of course, now once you're that definitive, that is a word you must keep. Caitlin, thank you very much. And tonight there's a growing outrage at Republican Senator Ted Cruz after he mocked an active member of the U.S. Army.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by 2 moms. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength.
Senator Cruz chose to answer her call by tweeting, quote, "Holy crap, perhaps a woke, emasculated military is not the best idea." The backlash was swift, including Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth, a Purple Heart recipient who lost her legs in Iraq, who said, quote, "Holy crap, perhaps a U.S. senator shouldn't suggest that the Russian military is better than the American military that protected him from an insurrection he helped foment." Out front now, former Republican Congressman from Virginia, Denver Riggleman. He's also a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and Abby Phillip, the host of our Inside Politics Sunday. So, Congressman, what do you say to Senator Cruz mocking this corporal, a young woman who right now is actively serving her country in the U.S. Army?
I guess my first question is, what's emasculating? I'm not quite sure why that would bother anybody. The second thing is, why would you, make fun of, sort of say, somebody are pansies or things like that, or we're a woke military, when you're talking about an individual that took an oath that not only, right, is serving her country, learning a profession, learning a trade, but she would also take a bullet for the flag. And I think that's the thing that bothers a lot of veterans, is that until you take the oath and put on the uniform, it's very difficult to know what that sacrifice means. And to make fun of something like that, where she's actually narrating that based on her life, and she is serving this country, it's just ridiculous. And everybody wants to use these words, or come out and say things to get press. Maybe Ted Cruz is running a national campaign where he wants to run for president. He's trying to appeal to a certain group of people. I'm just not quite sure. But that, and then showing a Russian video, I just can't get my arms around it. We've had this discussion before, Aaron, about disinformation and where these videos come from. But why not show a video of the Chinese? How would that go over? Or North Korea or Iran? So those are some of the things that bother me, Aaron, and I'm bothered by it.
Abby, we obtained a statement tonight from Corporal Malone Lord's mothers, and they say, I just quote part of it, "We're incredibly proud of our daughter for all of her many accomplishments, including her courageous decision to answer a higher calling as a soldier in the U.S. Army." Abby, she's based in Texas now. It has the third most active duty military members of any state in the country. I'm sorry, Ted Cruz, of course, is in Texas. Also home to the second most veterans of any state, right? So Senator Cruz knows the importance of the military. He's a shrewd politician. So it would seem that he is betting many in the military agree with what he said and how he said it.
At least he's betting that enough people in the military agree with what he's saying. I mean, the reality of the U.S. military is that it's increasingly diverse. They are also in dire need of recruitment, which is why videos like this exist, because they're trying to recruit a broader spectrum of people so that we can have a stronger military. But, I think everything that former Congressman Riggleman said is correct, but the cold, hard political truth of the situation is that Ted Cruz is trying to appeal to the new Republican base, which is increasingly non-college educated white men who are concerned that diversity is being imposed upon them. And they also are attracted to politicians in the mold of Donald Trump, who they perceive as being willing to say things that are not PC, being willing to offend other people. That is what Ted Cruz is doing. He thinks that that is the path to getting those voters' attention. And that's why it's not so much about the military. It's more just about trying to appeal to an increasingly powerful group of voters who constitute the Republican base right now.
So, Abby, some conservatives are also attacking a recent ad from the CIA, which highlights one of its diverse officers. Let me play it.
I'm a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I am intersectional, but my existence is not a box-checking exercise. I am unapologetically me. I want you to be unapologetically you, whoever you are. Know your worth. Command your space.
So, Abby, this is clearly, the criticism of that. The Republicans do think they can earn points right now on attacking, what they call the woke agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's about attacking what they claim to be a woke agenda, but it's also about pushing back against what that ad is about, which is about a person who is herself diverse, and that plays well in Republican Party politics right now.
Right.
That's why it's happening.
So, Congressman, I want to ask you one other thing here. As you sit in Virginia, and you're a 15-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force. I don't know what you saw in your time there, but of course there's so much talk now about what some of your colleagues saw flying around in the sky every day for 2 years. And people are really focused on this story. So there actually was an exchange today that President Biden had tonight about UFOs, and former President Obama's, kind of opening that door about UFO videos. Here's the exchange with President Biden.
President Obama says that there is footage and records of objects in the skies, these unidentified aerial phenomenon, and he says we don't know exactly what they are. What do you think that it is?
I would ask him again. Thank you.
Sort of the look on his face. Congressman said it all. But what do you make of all of this? And again, I ask this also in a serious sense, because we've seen this all on 60 Minutes and these pilots talking. You're a 15-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force. What do you think?
I wrote a book on this, Aaron, right? On Bigfoot, It's Complicated, and talked about UFOs and interstellar theories because about how people get lost in these belief systems. This is going to be shocking what I'm about to tell you with my years of intelligence experience. I do believe there are UFOs. I just don't believe there's aliens driving them. So I think let me tell you this. If there's aliens around since the pyramids, they're pretty fickle. They really don't want to be seen right now. So I can say, we've all seen, some bizarre things in our lives. I just don't think the first thing for me when I hear a weird noise in the woods it's not Bigfoot probably. And the first thing when I see a UFO is probably not being driven by the Zeta Reticulans. I think we're okay. I think we're going to be all right.
All right, Congressman, I appreciate your time. Thank you. And out front next, he swore he was